Would you buy a home you might outlive if it meant paying less every month? 40-year-old Li Yi is enjoying her new home, and the monthly mortgage is manageable. But there's a catch. She'll only be able to live here for the next 48 years. In Singapore, public housing is mostly sold on a 99-year lease, and the flat she bought has less than half the lease left. People around her questioned the decision. Why buy a flat she could potentially outlive? For Li Yi, the answer began with a simple calculation.
I know what are the possibilities for me and what are not possible. So I didn't look that far.
One area she knew she wanted to live near was the popular Holland Village area. But with her budget of 460,000 Singapore dollars, many options were not available to her. Some 2-bedroom private apartments in the area were already selling for above 1.5 million Singapore dollars each. That's beyond her budget. New-built public housing is very rare in this district. And in any case, as a single buyer, her options for new public housing were limited to smaller units.
I wanted to avoid the waiting time for a BTO flat because I've been waiting so long to be eligible for a HDB flat at 35. So I didn't really want to wait any longer. And also, most BTO flats are located in areas that are not what I want.
So she turned to the resale market. Older flats with shorter leases tend to be cheaper, bringing prices within reach for buyers with tighter budgets. She eventually found this unit.
I realized the units are very quickly snatched up, so you have to really offer quickly on the spot, or you have to offer a higher price.
She saw this unit once. The next day, it was already taken. But when the listing reappeared a month later, she moved fast.
I very quickly offered for this unit without even going on for a second viewing because I knew it would be taken up if I went for one.
The final price, $425,000.
I've done my calculations, so this was a very prudent amount that would offer me flexibilities. I'm a creative freelancer and income might not always be stable, so this would be a very good price range that can cushion me in case anything happened to my career or job.
But buying a flat with a shorter lease comes with trade-offs. In Singapore, housing loans and retirement savings can only be used fully if the lease lasts until the buyer turns 95. Because Li Yi's flat did not meet that requirement, the amount she could borrow was reduced. If the flat's remaining lease could cover her to age 95, her cash outlay would have been about 71,000 Singapore dollars. Since this was not the case, her eventual cash outlay was about $126,000. That's nearly $60,000 more.
My cash outlay is more than what I had budgeted for. My work nature is not stable, so I had to be extra careful of my spending in the first year.
But the higher cash outlay meant a smaller loan and a lower monthly mortgage.
Every month I'm paying $1,200 for the monthly mortgage of this house. So with this lower monthly mortgage, I had more breathing space financially. I don't have to struggle with my monthly mortgage.
Still, the higher upfront cost meant cutting back elsewhere. Her renovation budget dropped from $50,000 to $30,000.
Because I had to be my own ID to manage the whole renovation, and there's a lot of things that I didn't know. So that was really tough, managing different contractors and all.
Buying an older flat also means accepting a key reality.
People are worried about that is when talk about lease decay, what is her concern is, what happens when my lease terminates? For a 99-year leasehold property, when the lease expires, both the land and property will be reverted back to the state.
If Li Yi decides to sell later, the shorter lease could make financing harder for buyers. Banks may lend less, and some buyers may not be able to use as much of their retirement savings. That can shrink the pool of potential buyers, affecting resale value. Some owners of older flats sell before the lease becomes too short. Others move to a different home later in life. Professor Singh says buyers of older flats may need to view them differently. Less like investments and more like consumption, similar to renting or buying a car's COE with limited years left.
If you look at the context of ownership and renting is basically buying for consumption. If you are owners of a very short leases, that means the upside potential will be very limited. So people will just buy purely for consumption.
I think for me, it always came down to prioritizing what I need in this season of my life. It is very convenient for me, this area.
But if she outlives the lease, the housing security this flat provides disappears. Renting a home in the later years of her life is one option that Li Yi has considered. She continues to save up for alternative housing so as to prepare for the future. For Li Yi, buying an older flat wasn't about maximizing property value. The shorter lease was a trade-off. It allowed her to live in the neighborhood she wanted without stretching her finances.